We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships.
This is the Couples Academy Show. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Danielle.
And we're here for another great day. Yesterday was Father's Day. How were you guys celebrated? Okay. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear what you did. I want to hear how your children loved on you and how you, my children. How were you
celebrated?
I was celebrated. We had a delicious meal. We had some wonderful gifts that we opened up, things that I wanted, things that I wasn't even on my mind. And then when I got them and I opened them, I didn't know I wanted. Right. And I enjoyed them. You know, it's always good when your children and your spouse surround you and fill you up and remind you about what role you play in their lives. So we want to hear from you. How was your Father's Day? Hope that you enjoyed it. But this is another Monday, and we have another great series. Last week, we were talking about why I cheated, and I told you that this week we were going to start a new series entitled Why I Stayed. And so listen, guys, before we jump in, we want to remind you that the Audacity of Marriage live event is coming up. We've had several registrations this weekend, so we're excited to meet some new people from around the country and around the world who are going to be participating. We only have a few slots left, so if you haven't registered, it is not too late. You need to get involved ASAP. Listen, there's a video that gives you a snippet of what it was last time, and we want you to be aware of the possibility of what you can experience this time. Check this out.
Welcome back, everybody. Listen, that was the Audacity of a Marriage conference. We did that back in April. We're doing it again. It is July 15th through the 17th. We're going to start in the evening on the 15th with a powerful mixer, connector, eat it up. It's going to be amazing. So don't miss it, guys. Every time people miss it, they're like, when's the next one? And they got to wait months and months and months for the next one. Don't let that happen to you, okay? But I want to tell everybody, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe when you come on. Hit that notification bell. You will not miss a show when you do that. And make sure you're spreading this message in your home, under your roof, with your friends, your family, and your neighbors, okay? And when you come on, let us know where you're from, and we will acknowledge you on the second half of the break.
There it is. So let's get into today's topic. Once again, we're talking about why I cheated. Why I stayed. Last week was why I cheated. We're talking about why I stayed. Many people think, who are not in a situation, that, you know what, girl, if such and such happens to you, you need to go. Or if it ever happens to me, then I'm leaving. I'm out. And a lot of times when people come in for counseling or they do an intensive, they feel like they are, what's the term I'm looking for? They feel like they are going against themselves, or
it depends on personality. It depends on personality, because if you are a strong-minded person, you feel weak. Right? If you have the type of mindset that you're tough, that you're strong, and you don't let anybody take advantage of you, you feel like a failure. You feel weak. Somebody who is a heart-centered person, you feel brokenhearted and destroyed. You can't figure out why this has happened to you, but you're still here. This is maybe outside of your personality style to stay. But we say all these things, right? Because we were raised to believe a certain thing. Like, if my spouse cheats on me, I'm out. The Bible says I can do it. My mom and my daddy, they didn't stick together, or either they said, if somebody's unfaithful to you, then you don't have to stick around. You don't have to take that, right? Then when it really happens to you, now you have to consider the reality of it all, the impact of it all. And is it worth calling it quits, or is there something left that you can rebuild to a better place?
There it is. They feel like they're betraying themselves. Not only have they been betrayed, but I'm betraying myself if I stay. So they're in internal battle, if you will. They're vacillating back and forth. Do I stay? Do I go? Am I stupid for staying? Are people going to talk about me? And am I living a bad example for our children if I decide to stay? There's so many different things that a person goes through when they're trying to figure out, what am I here to do? And even those who stay are always in a space of, I haven't made a decision yet as to what I want to do. Right. So now they're stuck in confusion, uncertainty. And so that creates more challenges in the relationship if the other partner, the one who was unfaithful, wants to help restore the relationship.
Right, that lack of committal, that part of it, because you just don't know when the shoe's going to drop, right? Because I have not really decided yet. I have not verbalized that I'm going to stay with you and move forward. Let me just watch how you do. But in the process of that, because there's so many ups and downs, it's a battleground, right? That recovery process is a battle. And so because there are going to be, little mines that explode and, a grenade here that blows up in the marriage, you are like back and forth and vacillating. And the person that was unfaithful, they don't know where they're standing. They don't know if they have, you really with them to move forward to the next step.
That's right. So we want to talk about why people stay. Now, there's all types of scenarios. So the scenario we want to talk about today is if a spouse who was unfaithful is repentant, if they have remorse, if they're willing to do whatever it takes to restore the relationship, what does that look like? Because if I begin to explain to you what that looks like, right, and Danielle begins to unpack it for you, now you know why so many people do stay, because there is life beyond the affair. Interestingly enough, 75% of couples who experience an affair stay in the relationship. And you need to know why that is, because the way that it was is not an indication of the way it's always going to be. So this idea of once a cheater, always a cheater is not the reality. It can happen, but it's not guaranteed to happen. People go through a transformation. And we say all the time, the key to your marital restoration is your personal transformation. And when the unfaithful partner is willing to make shifts and pivots and changes, life, the indication that you can have a healthy relationship moving forward. So what do these actions look like? If you're the unfaithful partner and you want your wife or your husband to stay, let's walk through these. Number one, you got to cut off all communication with the other partner. Now that is obvious. There's no way can be in a relationship, an illicit relationship with another person, and when it comes to an end because it was exposed or you just decided that it wasn't going to go any further, that you maintain contact with that person. That is insane. That is ridiculous. That is a continual betrayal to your spouse, because somehow you're still mentally, emotionally, socially, physically, in terms of proximity, connected to that affair partner.
Right. You said that it's an obvious, and it's shocking to me how it really isn't obvious to a lot of people, that they actually think that they can manage the two relationships, and I'm not going to have sex with this person anymore, or I'm going to dial it back to a friendship. It's impossible. Because the moment that you get around that person, you begin to rekindle those experiences. And plus, with your spouse at home, who represents your marriage and all the responsibilities and all your shortcomings and all the things that actually matter in life, when you step outside of your marriage, connect with the friend, that's where euphoria is, because there's no responsibility there. Yeah.
You've got to stop forms of communication. It's got to end. And what we see, even if there's no engagement into act of the affair, many spouses do complain. They're talking again. He reached out again.
Right.
She reached out again.
They're texting.
They're texting again. They're still congregating in the same spaces again. And that becomes just as much as a betrayal to the spouse as the physical act, because it shows that you haven't made a decision to give your all to your partner. But those individuals that actually do that give a partner hope that there's a possibility of the future. Now, what we want to do is talk about a real controversial point that a lot of people struggle with, and some people do it with relative ease. Second step, why people stay? It's simply because their spouse who wasn't faithful, oftentimes we know that the workforce is a hotbed for infidelity, right? Whether it's social media or whether it's the workforce, those are the two places and spaces where a lot of opposite sex interactions take place and develop into something inappropriate. And so if the workplace is a hotbed and I had an affair with somebody at my job, but I want to remain married in my relationship and committed, then I'm going to leave my job because my job or my workplace is now a trigger.
Or, I mean, you can't even fulfill step one, which is cut off all communication, if the person that you have the affair with works at your job, unless you leave that job or fire that person. And this is where it gets tricky, right? Because when you start interacting with somebody and it's fraternizing with the employees and all of that on the job, when you start doing that, and now you got to stop and start firing people, that's when you get into a hotbed of trouble. You get crisis going on because that person gets revenge and they start calling on lawyers and everybody else. We're going to continue this conversation on the other side of the break, guys. Stay tuned.
Sign up today for the Better Marriage Club and receive exclusive access to the private Facebook group to get your questions answered and your problems solved. Access to our marriage library of live seminars. Watch the Couples Academy Daily Show. Call the help hotline for laser coaching. Get our weekly action guides and receive a private one-on-one call with one of our marriage coaches. To join the Better Marriage Club, simply text MARRIAGE to 973-490-4668. Join today. Your marriage deserves it.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're going to go to our audience and acknowledge you all. Good morning to Zach Franklin. Good morning to Vashawn in Chicago. JD Prue, good morning. Hey, JD, I saw a comment from you earlier. Congratulations. It's your first Father's Day.
Wow,
he said
that's
he
huge.
got cards coming through and all kinds of love. There's nothing like your first Father's Day or Mother's Day where everybody's acknowledging you and you feel really good because they don't know what's going on when you're burning the oil at midnight, right? Trying to keep the baby calm and everything. Good morning, gorgeous, from Cincinnati, Ohio. Letitia, good morning. Nacon Aaron, good morning. And you said something about, I went to the Juneteenth festival. Did you mention something about Juneteenth, the Juneteenth festival?
I don't think I did, but Juneteenth was this weekend, so people celebrating.
I wish I could see some pictures. I know it was awesome. V from St. Lucia is listening. Ken is in Austin, Texas. Rhoda says, good morning from Cincinnati. You two cuties, looking forward to today's topic. Okay, thank you. Dara, good morning from Baytown, Texas. Who else we got here? We've got Saved One. Good morning, family. Gonzalez relaxed and smoked some ribs over the weekend. Okay, were they beef ribs? We go for the beef ribs. Good morning, Tanya from Pennsylvania. I know where you're from. Franklin, married with 4 kids, and I was alone, but I survived. Good for you. That's what we need. We need to be survivors. Tiffany Mason from Dallas, Texas. Phila says, hey guys, I'm from Philadelphia, from South Africa. It's 3:52 p.m. this side. Looking forward to today's show. So people are tuning in from all over and all kinds of hours. Vashawn says, my Father's Day was amazing. Wife made shrimp and grits and all the kids were under one roof. That's all I needed.
That sounds delicious.
Didn't you feel the same way? Like when you got everybody around the table, everybody was just pouring their love on you. Somebody wrote on your card, a dad is a girl's first love or something like that. I thought that was the sweetest comment. Yvette, good morning. She says, I just wanted to acknowledge you guys and say thank you, Hassani, for marrying my cousin. I'm so proud of you guys. You are the example of a perfect marriage. I love you guys. Thank you. We work really hard to be an example, okay? But let me just be clear. There's no perfect marriage, is there, Hassani?
Nope. So let's get back to
the
this.
way that he said it. Listen, guys, we just want to acknowledge all of you. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in every day.
Getting back to the topic, I want to go back to the whole coworker thing because we want to put some layers to this, right? So we do recommend that if you're in direct connection and in relationship with someone that you had an affair with at the job, the best decision is to leave that job. Now, that may not be practical for all people. So there are ways that you can navigate around this. And we've seen people do all sorts of things that can be beneficial. Number one, if you don't leave your job, you can, if first of all, does the person work in the same department with you? Can you transfer to another part of the company? Maybe there are several buildings or different locations. You know, for instance, if it's a sizable company, maybe you could relocate from one city to another city and still be able to drive from your work to get there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some lateral moves. Maybe you bring the manager into it because, you know, truth be told, a lot of times when affairs occur, people at the job know. People at the job know.
Yeah, they did.
And so to keep a form of accountability, one of the things that is done is bringing a supervisor involved in the entire process so that it provides checks and balances for those within that relationship. But if none of that works, then guess what? I've known people who have literally not only sold their house, relocated, went to other states because that job was too much of a trigger.
And as I was saying before, the slippery slope is when you're in management and you are having an affair with somebody that's beneath you, you really get into this terrible tangled weave of trouble because you can't just fire them. They could report you.
That's
and
right.
Now you are losing your job. And now this is really impacting your family, your wife, your children, everything. And so we got to be ahead of some of these decisions and think forward.
And there's certain careers that it's literally illegal. You can go to jail.
But it happens all the time. It still happens. They still do it. So this is why you have to quit, move, leave the company, start a new business, do whatever you have to do to get away from it, to save yourself from going to jail and from losing your family.
That's absolutely right. All right, let's go to the next point. You have to be able to block them on social media. When people do this, see, we're talking about why people stay, because the unfaithful partner does all the necessary things to set themselves up for success in that relationship. And blocking the person on social media is a huge thing because guess what? Every time my partner's on their phone and I see him on Facebook, now I'm getting worried and now I'm getting concerned because it's a trigger. Are they talking? You know, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. Maybe it's 3:00 in the morning. What's that poke? What's that like? What's that share? What's that DM? You know, whether it's Instagram or whatever the social media platform may be, WhatsApp or whatever. It is a trigger. And so you've got to let your partner know that, you know what? Not only is it over, but I am disconnecting, blocking, severing all forms of communication on social media. So I don't have to see their profile. I don't have to see their pictures. I'm not checking up on them. I'm not looking at what they're doing because that's a form of attachment as well.
It is. And we're talking about why a person stayed, right? So when you come up with that and you begin to do that disconnecting, that person is still, your partner is still going to check. Right? They're going to find the other woman or the other man. They're going to see if you're liking their posts and all of those things. They're going to make sure what it is that you say you're doing, you're actually doing. And when people see that, it shows that you do have a heart of contrition, that you are trying to do the right thing and they can move forward. But if you're still hiding things, if I'm not allowed to see your phone when I need to see the phone, if we're still living a separate social life, there's no trust. It's very difficult to move forward like that.
Nyack, forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, says, what if you're trying to move forward after an affair, but yet your spouse did not cut off communication, but yet the affair partner is still in direct contact with other family and his troublesome for? Okay. So, it's troublesome for the spouse. Okay, right. Well, that is troublesome for the spouse.
Yes.
So they're still communicating and that person's still connected with the family. Now, I've seen scenarios where the spouse not only feels betrayed by the partner who cheated, but by the family because there's a relationship with other family members. And sometimes they knew about the affair. Sometimes they did not correct. They did not speak out. They did not speak against the situation. So it seemed as if they were complicit to the very same, affair that the spouse was in. So now that causes a problem in the family dynamic. And so common sense, which a lot of people do not have, common sense says, if I'm a member of the family and there was something going on between my cousin and their spouse or my brother and their spouse, I need to back up. Because I'm not trying to interfere. I'm not trying to complicate. I'm not trying to confuse anything. So it's just like, where's the allegiance?
It's tough, isn't it? I mean, you think about these relationships that are developed over years. I called somebody, my daughter-in-law maybe, for so many years, and have a real personal relationship, and now they done stepped out and I got to cut them off. This is where family counseling comes into play, because it's a lot bigger than just making the decision to cut somebody off of a bad decision that somebody made. It goes a lot deeper than that, but you do have to have an allegiance to your own, and that's, I think, something that's missing out here in these streets.
Absolutely. Yeah. Guys, I hope you're getting something out of this particular topic. We're talking about why people stay. More when we come back from this quick break.
Couples Academy is expanding its team to meet the growing demand of people in need of help around the world. So if you're a trained, licensed, or certified expert in marriage enrichment, infidelity recovery, sex therapy, life coaching, cognitive behavioral therapy, divorce mediation, financial coaching, or family therapy, contact us today.
Welcome back, folks. You're watching the Couples Academy show, and I want to go to a comment by Rhoda, who says, my husband is the owner of his company, hired his mistress, could not fire her or face sexual charges. When he ended the affair, he had the manager keep distance between them. And this is what we're talking about, guys. Like, you get down this slippery slope when you start messing with people on your job, and when you want to break it off because it's got too far and they were expecting more out of you. They were expecting you to leave your spouse at home and you were leading them on, and now it's not going down. You want to cut them off, right? Because nothing stays new forever. Revenge, sexual charges is what you're facing.
Absolutely.
There is a cost for your indiscretions. There always is.
So another reason why a person would decide to stay, it's because their spouse changed phone numbers and email addresses. And this is very common. Don't think that, oh, well, I've had this particular number for the last 20 years, and so I need to keep it. That's not necessarily true. Listen, all you need to do is change your number and get it out to the right people. And guess what? You have relationship. But if that partner still listen, you could block the affair partner, but they can call from another number. Happens all the time. Yeah. And it seems like you can't get away from this particular person, and it becomes a trigger. No matter how much you try to end it on your end, the other person has to be complicit to want to end the communication as well. But if there's no other way around it, then guess what? The block didn't work because they're calling from another number. So you got to change your number. You got to change your email. You got to break off all forms. And that is a way that somebody says, you know what, you're willing to do what's inconvenient to stay with me. I'm willing to stay with
and that's a big inconvenience, right? Changing your number, because now you got to update everybody on the new number. But this is the price of your indiscretion. There's a cost.
There's a cost.
We want to cut corners. We want to just get over it, move past it. We want to stop talking about it. We're not willing a lot of times to do what it takes to prove that we're going to move, to prove that we've changed and can move forward being somebody new. I got another comment here from Yvette. She says, was in a marriage for 7 years. He cheated from day one, brought another child into the world. I raised that child and found out that later she was the reason I stayed so long. Love that baby. It's hard when there are children involved to just leave. Now he wants me back, but has confused the love I had for the baby for him. I would never. Wow.
Yeah, that's real. When children are involved, it does add an extra layer of complexity. And we'll be talking about that in one of the parts of this particular series. So stay tuned for that. But we got two more. Listen, a person's willing to stay if their spouse is willing to go to therapy and consider the root of the problem. Listen, I don't know why this is such a struggle, but it's a no-brainer. If there was a violation, if there was a betrayal, if the relationship is now broken, you cannot DIY yourself back together. You have to get help.
That's it.
Period, point blank. And you've got to go to somebody who knows what he or she is doing to guide you through a process. Stop going to people who tiptoe, tap dance, and pussyfoot around issues. Stop going to people who all they say is, listen, just communicate and just go on dates every now and then. Things will work itself out. That's not true. It takes a whole lot more. You got to get deep down into the root of the issue to discover the why, because if you don't know the why, then the probability of it happening again is there. Then there's got to be accountability. There's got to be checks and balances. There's got to be couples counseling, individual counseling, support groups. I mean, there's a whole slew of things that you need to do, because at the end of the day, just making a decision to stop is not enough. How many times have you set a goal, a New Year's resolution, and 2 hours into your decision, you write back because your stomach has a memory, your eyes, your ears have a memory.
That darn pizza.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is get a whiff.
That's it.
A whiff of the pizza, and next thing you know, the box is gone.
You a slave to your nose, you a
see what
slave
I'm
to your
saying?
stomach, you a slave to your eyes.
With that person, when they come into your presence, when they DM you or slide into the DM, somebody on here commented about the old school poke on Facebook.
Straight up.
When they used to poke you on Facebook, if you're still connected in any way, the temptation lures you back to connect with them. Now you're back where you started.
So if a person says, you know what, I'm willing to go to counseling. Matter of fact, I'm not going to wait for you to find somebody. I'm going to initiate the process, and I'm going to find somebody because I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to transform my life. That's an indication that that person is serious. And that is a motivating factor that will cause somebody to stay, because they have a belief that they're not just signing up for more of the same. Understand, we're not interested in keeping people married just to keep them in the same situation that they've been in for the last number of years. We're here to help create something different and new that they can believe in. Last point, guys. A person's willing to stay if their spouse is 100% transparent about the affair. There is no trickle truth. There are no half truths told. You're not omitting information. You're not willing to, just avoid the conversation because you don't want to hurt your partner. You're dealing with it respectfully, responsibly, but you're dealing with truth.
Yes, I want to just jump to this comment real quick. Rhoda says, what do we do with our intense pain, triggers, rumination? After 1.5 years, still stuck in pain, therapy, EMDR, reading all the right recovery books, Watch You Daily. How do we release this anguish? And you know what I want to say? I want to plead with you to reach out to us, because a lot of times when we're doing all the right things and we are stuck, and you use that word stuck, and that's a real place to be in, that means that we are anchored to something in our past, and we need to go to the past so that we can heal that space and move forward. And not always is it the thing that's right before you, right? So yes, the affair, but also other things that have shown you that I can't trust, and this just further solidifies and digs it into my soul that people disappoint. And so there are some things that you can do to understand yourself that would actually help you to release some of that. So please reach out to me and schedule a free session.
And please do that. Just this weekend, we had a couple who drove in from Alabama, and I've said to them what I say to you every now and then. Counseling doesn't work. Intensives don't work. Books don't work. Classes don't work. Sermons don't work. None of it works. The only thing that works is you. Because you can go to a session, get all the information. You could read a book about all the steps that you need to take. But the question is, are you working it? Is it a part of your daily process? Are you putting in the labor? Like, for instance, this particular woman said, you know what? I just feel blocked. I feel stuck. I'm not feeling what I want to feel. And until I feel this, I can't do. And I said, sometimes when you do, you experience the feeling you were searching for. It was Joseph Murphy who said that the cave that you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And up until the third day of this intensive, there was this wall up. And as soon as we took them through that final exercise, and she was willing to just, fine, I'll do it, fine. Actually doing it, working it.
Before she felt it.
Allowed her to finally release and allowed her to begin to heal. And I want to reinforce that point that you have to be committed to the ongoing work, because in it, the healing, the change, the transformation, all of those things will come. So reach out to us. Go to couplesacademy.org. Call us at 678-200-8996. We're just getting started. This is part 1 of why I stayed. We have a whole lot more coming up. Hope you enjoyed today's session. We'll see you in the morning for another great episode. All right, guys, take care.
Guys.